Welcome to episode 41, right?
Yeah, episode 41.
Of Undrafted Amateurs.
Dude.
I'm your host, Jake Paul.
Host who does the most, Jake Paul. Have you, switching gears completely, have you watched Lioness yet? Caitlin, have been watching it?
No.
It's in the Taylor Sheridan, actually, well, I was going to say in the Taylor Sheridan universe. It's not. It's separate than all of his other shows. But one is just crushing everything he's writing. Because, I mean,
Who
so
was?
he did Taylor Sheridan. So he did Yellowstone, obviously like 1883.
Is he related to Ed Sheeran?
Yes, with a completely different last name and different nationality.
Okay.
Yeah, so close. Like Mayor of Kingstown was another good one. Anyway, it's a spy, not spy. I guess it's
like James
Green
Bond.
Beret kind of stuff where they've got a mole that they're planning in towards an operative. It's pretty good. We're, I think, about to hit the last episode. So
have you watched the Beckham documentary?
No.
We're a sports
Does he bend it though? Dude, we're an entertainment podcast. Or is sports just entertainment?
Oh, or is entertainment just sports?
Is entertainment for sport, and is sport? I think sports are just entertainment. Like why do they exist? It's an entertainment.
Well, back
export.
in ancient Rome, what ended up happening was they would fight to the death, and that was sport
for entertainment.
No, to not die.
Yes, but as the emperor, which obviously that would have been my position back in the day.
The so God
you can call me
Joe.
You can call me Emperor Joe. I would have been sitting and said, "I'm bored. Christian, fight someone to the death, and then I will get entertainment." Because it's like you didn't have green screens.
Oh, wait, you didn't have green screens?
No, dude, they really killed each other back then.
But they built the pyramids.
But that was back before we had the technological collapse. And the civilization was obviously more advanced than it ever has been in history.
Aliens.
And then the planet was wiped out and then started back over. And then now we're starting to catch back to everyone knows that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Anyway, that was my plug for Lioness.
So tell everyone, though, what we did before we hopped on air.
Dude, we went to Bojangles.
I mean, I swallowed Bojangles. And when I say
you inhaled,
I inhaled it. It was disgusting what just happened.
I will say Bojangles fed me growing up. Not my parents, Bojangles.
Yeah.
Just kidding. That makes it sound like they just fed me Bojangles.
My mom listens to this pod.
We're talking about when I'm in high school. Keep in mind, I chose to feed myself Bojangles 3 days a week at least.
What do you?
Because we would go before baseball games. That's wild.
We did too. Yeah.
Senior lunches.
Sometimes before golf.
Right by church.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sweet tea action.
Dude.
After sermon.
Cajun flavored biscuit combo.
Oh.
Extra seasoning on the fries. Sometimes I'd go bow rounds.
That's what you did today. Extra seasoning on the fries. Some things never change.
Some things never change. However, they should, because I eat different than I did when I was in high school. And it is very salty. And I did not need extra seasoning. That was a savage move. But
I didn't know fast food restaurants use salt.
Yeah, they actually don't use calories, salt, sodium, or salt, sugar.
How would your diet change if everything was 0 calories?
I'd eat Bojangles every day. Every day.
Fair enough, man.
On that note, that was the most organic ad you could have possibly done, Bojangles. So if you ever wanted to pay us money,
no calories. Eat better.
No calories. Eat. This is just honesty, people.
Straight honesty.
Coming up today on the episode, we're talking about the MLB postseason.
Bang.
Thankfully, I'm allowed to talk to Christian today because the Braves had 4 good innings out of 18. We'll get into that in a minute. College football, little recap of what's happening, what's to come. NFL Week 5, quarterback talk, because we know that is a passion point here. I'm just going to keep holding the Bojangles cup here. Power rankings, picks, as always, which, as a pod, we're over 500, so they're starting to look like locks.
I'm not going to lie. If we have a good week, I think we overreact, and we should turn to a betting show.
Yeah, done deal. Bet responsibly.
Or bet recklessly.
And then, of course, we've got the draft, which we are doing the worst NFL teams. As people that grew up close to Charlotte, North Carolina. That'll be fun.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, but before we do any of that, we have
our own Unsung Hero. 3 picks for the NFL teams?
Yeah, 3. Cool. So the worst 6 teams, essentially. But our own Unsung Hero, Trey Iceman Walpole, will be delivering the Unsung Hero for the rest of us.
It looks like he's on vacation.
What's up, everybody? This week's Unsung Hero comes to us from Michigan. where a couple weeks ago, a
Not the
2-year-old
Wolverines.
girl named Thea Chase decided to wander off from her mom in their backyard into the wooded area behind their house. After going for about 3 miles, she ended up sitting down next to a tree. Her mom, realizing this in the frantic panic that any parent would have, decides to go back in, call her husband, and call the police, where then an all-out manhunt ensues. Drones are flying. Police are going everywhere. Everybody's going in the woods trying to find this little girl. In the midst of that, though, they don't realize that the 2 family dogs are missing. Buddy, a Rottweiler, and Hartley, an English Springer Spaniel. Well, it's around midnight, about 4 hours later after the initial report gets sent in, that a family friend riding his ATV back in the wooded area hears a dog barking at him as he gets near. He goes over and recognizes that it's Buddy, the Rottweiler, and looks over right behind him, and there is 2-year-old Thea Chase with her head resting on the other family dog, Hartley's chest. The dogs had her wrapped around their finger, and they were keeping her safe the whole time. Another great reminder, we don't deserve dogs. They are awesome, and they keep our family safe and are just wonderful members to take care of us. So here's to you, Hartley and Buddy, man's best friend. You're this week's unsung hero.
I like how he switched it up.
Yeah, you didn't see it going to dog.
He went from the sports take normally to just like a dog.
Yeah, he said he had to bring the positive vibes because Tim Wakefield, love him, obviously, he's amazing, but sad vibes, and so I had to bring the positive vibes. Also, Caitlin loves to say that I don't like dogs. For the record, I like dogs. Those are dogs, not the little lab rats that are like cats that exist on people's laps and then like sit on the top of the couch. No, those are dogs. That's not a dog. Show me a dog. Not dog. Dog.
Dude, the fact that he made this video in an Uber makes it 2 times better at least.
With the seatbelt high and tight.
My man.
If you get thrown that seatbelt, you're charging the mound.
Dude, you're charging the mound. I mean, and the glass. I mean, are those camouflage glasses?
Ooh, they might be. Iceman, I think those are camo. And if so, you got to write us back.
I can't even see him. I can't see his sunglasses.
I just see the lenses. they're floating lenses.
Dude, the fact that I wonder what the Uber driver thought. Like,
he said he was super chill. So we need more Iceman. Next episode, let us know. Give us an update.
Next week's hero is the Uber driver.
He saved 2 dogs that were saving it around the woods.
He got inspired.
I love that. MLB postseason though. Wild card, lame. 4 sweeps. It was over in 8 games.
Yep.
Then go to the divisional series. The Phillies are crushing the Braves for the first 14 innings. Dodgers are down 2-0. The Orioles are down 2-0, or I guess 0-2.
That's also insane.
Yeah, and then the Astros right now they're playing and they're up 6-0, so they should go to 2-1. But it begs the question: are the postseason like bracket, like all of that structure, is it broken? Because should it be something like, if you think about the wild card, take the Phillies for example. You've got to get hot at the end of the year, right? Most of the time to secure the wild card spot, you're getting hot at the end. Like the Braves haven't played a meaningful game in like 3 weeks, probably at least. So you're getting hot at the end of the year, then you play a series and you only play the winner of that series. So you are hot because you just won that series. And then you're playing a team that's just been resting for a week, which was your point of like, I think that week off.
For hitters especially.
For hitters especially, if you look at the Dodgers, the Orioles, the Braves. I don't know. I'm wondering, here's my hypothesis. Here's my take.
Okay.
What if the wild card went back to a 1 game instead of a 3-game series? And it's just, I know it's kind of worse in some ways, but I mean, here, all 4 of them, the team that won game 1, won the whole series. Yeah. It's tougher, but it just gives the teams that get a bye like a 1 day off. Then the divisional series is a 7-game series instead of a 5-game series.
And then so is obviously
and then everything else is 7 games.
Yeah, and then World Series. So I see where you're coming from, and I don't hate it.
I'm not for the record, I'm not sure that I love it, but
I feel like there's got to be a better option because the 1 game was actually was really interesting to watch because it was 1 game. But it's also like if you make the playoffs after 162 games and your fate's decided on 1 game, that's tough as well.
Right. Well, that's why it's got to be more of you have 1 game to try to get in more. Maybe I don't know.
Oh, what if?
Or what were we gonna say?
No, that didn't make sense. I was gonna say, what if you just like extended it and did like the college basketball, like how they do the play-ins?
Yeah.
For like the 4 on the bubble or whatever. You do that with the MLB, and then 2 of those teams, I guess, didn't go to the wild card and meet the other. I don't know.
Well, I guess that's what I'm meaning is the wild card would essentially be the play-in game again. It's like, because if you've got 162 games all year, take again the Braves.
What if there's 3 divisional series? There's just.
But then it's like that doesn't reward the team that we beat the Phillies by like 18 games. So what's really the advantage of a 162 game season? You know what I mean?
Field. Yeah, I guess the home field.
Yeah, home field definitely helps. Either way, I think divisional should be 7 games. You know what I mean? Like, even if nothing changes with wild card, why is divisional only 5 games? If you're playing 162 games all year, you're not worried about playing too many games.
It's always been 5 though, hasn't it?
Yeah, but why? That's what I'm saying. Where then you're a little bit more likely of, I guess, given the opportunity that the best team wins. I guess that's the one that, even if the wild card stayed 3 games.
You just think divisional should be 7. That's your argument.
Yeah, I think, well, to be fair, I don't know what I think would be the fix. It's just annoying that you watch 162 games, take the Braves out of the equation. If the Dodgers and Orioles, some of the best teams, if they get eliminated immediately, and it's like, well, you're rewarding them with a week off, but that reward is actually a disservice. It feels like it doesn't make sense. And then you're like, why is there 162 games then? Like, should it just be like soccer where the regular season winner wins?
So you think it's a big difference from like the other sports, like basketball, football, those types of sports? Because like in those sports, obviously rest definitely helps.
And I think it's just interesting that you have such a large sample size from the season, and then October, literally anything happens.
But do you think that makes it more exciting? Like that kind of going back to the wild card, like
I mean, it makes October more exciting, but as a whole, the entirety of a season, it's like, well, that's kind of silly or maybe this would never work, but what if you get like advantages based off of how well you do in the regular season? Like say it goes like this, it's a 5-game series or whatever. And if you win your division, or if you have over 100 wins in the season, you start off with like a 1-game lead in the series. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
or like 1 run or something. You're up 1-0.
Or like a couple runs, or it just feels like
a man on second.
A man on second. It's just ridiculous where, besides the bye, which is a little bit helpful, but you won the division. It's like, what's the point of the regular season?
Just home field advantage, honestly, and not having. Well, I guess a quote unquote pro is not having to play the wild card, but
or then maybe it never goes to the away team in the playoffs. Like all 5 games would be at Truist instead of ever going to the bank.
I don't
but you know what I'm saying?
Either.
Like, why is it such a long season if it has such little actual effect on the playoffs? That's the piece that bothers me.
Yeah. Besides, like it's just home field advantage.
But it's a 1-game home field advantage.
Mm-hmm. Which is a huge game if you think about it.
Yeah, but 1 game for being, like having 100 wins, 104 wins instead of 84 wins.
Yeah. Maybe you should play for the wild card.
Yeah, maybe there's no advantage. All 30 teams make the playoffs, and it starts fresh.
It's 1 game.
And there's 2 championships.
It's like the NCAA bracket.
There's a regular season champion, and then there's a World Series champion.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know.
Like, I see where you're coming from because it's only, you got to win 3 games, and it's pretty easy for a team to get hot and win 2. Like, the Phillies almost just won bang,
right,
back to back.
Yeah.
And
I think
you're in a hole, and then it's,
I will say, though.
But, I mean, it is, at the same time, it is the Braves' fault for not performing. So, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, the Braves are now 1-1. I'm more even talking about the Dodgers and Orioles at this point. It's just like, say the Braves went down, which was very close to happen. We got to get into that game in a second. But then 3 of the best 4 teams then in the playoffs would be down 0-2 to start. It's like, hold on.
I think that's
a trend.
Makes it exciting, too.
Well, it definitely makes it exciting, but you see where in terms of
you being the best team, yes.
Or no, even in terms of like, if you're looking at the whole season, you're like, okay, you played 106. That's a large season, and you're by far the best team. And then now we're flipping a coin almost once it gets to playoffs of who gets hot at this time. Yeah, it just feels like a weird disconnect, because then if you look back in a few years, you're like, you won the World Series, you're the best team. Like even a couple years ago when the Braves won it, we weren't the best team that year. We just got hot at the right time.
That's baseball, though.
Right. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, it's like, I mean, you think about it, any other sport, NFL, NBA, hockey, I mean, NHL, like, typically the higher seeds get the home field or the home advantage. And that's it. Like, there's not really any other, major advantage in any other sport. Like the only big advantage in NFL is like if you finish top 2, you get to skip the week.
Right. Well, then home field advantage though, it's like you get sole home field. You don't split it back and forth.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And
but NBA you split it. NHL
right,
you split it.
But even because so if you look at the NBA playoffs, those are all rounds of 7, right? Is that? I think it's 7.
There
maybe
are
it's
4
5.
matchups in each conference, and each matchup has 7 games.
Okay, and so that's even longer than the divisional in the Braves, or not the divisional in the Braves, even longer than the divisional in the MLB. And then they play an 82-game season instead of a 162-game series. So it's like the proportion of playoff versus season. That's what feels so weird to me. Anyway, I don't have a solution. I do think that divisional going to 7 instead of 5 just makes sense. The rest, I don't know. I don't know what makes sense. But the Braves, 14 innings of disaster. For the team that had the highest slugging percentage in MLB history.
Didn't score a run in 14 innings. Right?
I am pretty sure it was 14. It was well into the second game. It was so frustrating. Dude, I turned my phone off, or I was watching on TV, and I would turn the TV off. I would rage, quit the TV, look at my phone for a little bit, watching like the score pop up on my phone, and be like, all right, I'm going to turn it back on, and then get mad and turn it off. It was brutal. Finally got hot, and I do think the last 4 outs, Austin Riley hit a moonshot with one hand. That was a bomb. And it was a one-handed swing. And then doubling off Bryce Harper with Harris's catch on the wall. I think that could be a good turning point in the playoffs. Because obviously a turning point in that game, like that kind of stuff gets you fired up. But Acuna still doesn't have a hit. I think the Braves have like 3 or 4 people that don't have hits so far.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, it is. The crazy part is you look at that game too, and the Phillies outplayed the Braves. 140% on off, except fielding. Trey Turner made a couple errors, and my boy Trey doesn't typically do that.
Well, I mean, you definitely hit better for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, you had 2 key swings, and those 4 runs because of those 2 key swings.
Yeah, but then also game 1, there were situations where like stuff could have happened, and the Braves didn't. So at the end of the day, it's runs scored, not base runners. No,
100%. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, I watched the whole game, and I feel like the Phillies, from a pitching and a hitting standpoint, had more opportunities, performed, pitched better, but it was just 2 pitches decided 4 runs that entire game, which obviously it's baseball.
Yeah. But you leave Zach Wheeler in for
one too
many pitches.
Too long. The tough part with that was you had Olsen who ripped one up the middle, and then he struck out the next guy like it was disgusting. Who was after Olsen?
Marcell Ozuna.
Yeah, made him look stupid.
And then Travis d'Arnaud.
And then gave up that home run to Austin Riley.
So that home run was Travis d'Arnaud. Austin Riley's was the one in the 8th inning.
That's right, d'Arnaud.
After Acuna got hit.
That's right. But the one that Zach Wheeler gave up was it's tough because why would you take him out? I mean, he just made a guy look,
I mean, game 1, to be honest, I thought that y'all pulled, what's his name, too soon. He looked good. And then, because he went to the bullpen in the 5th inning.
Oh, yeah.
Or because he pitched 4.
4th inning.
He got pulled in the 4th.
Yeah, in the 4th.
After one hit. Mm-hmm. That was wild.
But they pieced it together. I mean, my goodness. Game 1 was crazy.
Yeah, but that's game 1. That's kind of...
How about Harper's stats against your closer? Dude, what were the stats again? Was it 10 for 15 with 7 bombs or something?
He has 47 home runs against the Braves, I think.
It's stupid. Dude, but the closer thing, I mean, by far, your closer is a stud.
All I got to say is it could not happen. Getting doubled off could not have happened to a better, a.k.a. worse person than Bryce Harper. It was wonderful.
Look, and honestly, the way Michael Harris turned, I thought 100%. It was either gone or off the wall.
I was FaceTiming my brother, and I was probably, 10 or so seconds before. And so I was trying to hide my reactions. And he was like, wait, did they just hit a a home run foul because it was like panic and then relief. And then I'm like trying not to react and trying to read what's happening. And then he sees it on TV. But dude, that was a good play on the wall and throwing it in. And then Austin Riley with the backup. He threw a dart to first.
He threw a dart.
So anyway, we'll see.
Guys throw it so hard.
Going to the bank now.
And the Dodgers, I think, are pretty much done, which is crazy to think about. Only 3 teams have come back in the divisional series down 2-0.
It's tough.
Very tough. You got to win 3 straight, which is very tough to do.
Yeah, so we'll see most likely a split in the bank come back to Truist for Game 5, I think.
I think so, too.
I would love, we're recording the podcast on Tuesday, would love tomorrow to win Game 1 in Philly. That would be huge. But
Philly fans are going to be fired up.
When are they not, though?
Dude, we could have went $400 for home plate seats.
You told me you bought tickets and you never did. You're a liar. You're a liar.
I would have overdrafted that account.
Taking a loan out. If you follow our picks, maybe.
Yeah. I'm right at it. I'm right at even.
All right, college football.
There's your Georgia that you've been begging for.
Yeah.
The Georgia's like, they're only winning by 10 points. There they are.
Georgia finally looked dominant. You were right. I was like, well, what's going to happen in Kentucky? They haven't looked good.
Someone said this, though, which I thought, let me know what you think about this.
What you got?
Especially with the great teams, like, the top, definitely top 5 coming into the year, and obviously like a Georgia, they don't want to show their playbook early on film. It was an interesting argument. It's like they don't they kind of keep it more vanilla the first few weeks and then open it up as they get farther down the season.
So I agree with that. And I like that in a lot of ways. There should be an element where Georgia was like physically bodying people a little bit more. And I think that was the piece that was missing. Not just
and then Michigan, crushed
Dude, Michigan crushed Minnesota 52-10.
I thought we were going to have a couple more really good games, but I mean, the Red River rivalry, great game, phenomenal game. But other than the Oklahoma-Texas game, everything else kind of took care of business.
Texas A&M was
close.
It was close at some points. Bama
and that's close a lot of times. Alabama and A&M.
Yeah, looking at South Carolina's schedule, we're favored against Florida this week.
Mm-hmm. Are you really?
Yeah, it's in South Carolina, which would be big.
Florida,
but then we've got at A&M.
Oh yeah,
which is going to be, dude, that's a tough one. Like at Mizzou, it's going to be.
Is there any hope for you think USC in the future?
I think. Here's the thing.
Be top 10 again.
Our schedule for the next few years is nuts. I think we'll have a very good team in 2 years.
Okay.
Because we've got Nick Harbor. Yeah, but our freshman quarterback we got looks really good. Give him a year to develop. We've got a couple other freshmen that, assuming the portal, though, that's the other thing. It's
dude, the portal.
Like Lloyd. Like Marshawn Lloyd. Right now, Southern Cal's running back. We thought that he was coming back.
Yeah.
Christmas break, he's like, yeah, it's great. I'm coming back. And then all of a sudden he's not. So that's what's really weird about trying to figure out where a team's going to be in a couple years.
I love how it says SoCal.
Yeah, dude, I'm never saying USC because that belongs to the University of South Carolina.
Is that a USC thing? Like you guys did when you were talking about the other one? Or is that a you thing? Like, is that it's the people?
It's both.
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't say that everyone at the University of South Carolina says.
But everyone who's anyone?
Anyone who actually has passion.
Got it.
Anyone who actually cares about it.
When do you guys think get another Debo Samuel?
My classmate. He was
You
great.
guys were good friends.
Yeah, great friends. I watched every one of his games. We were really tight. So he was really good, obviously, in college. But the number of people we have go in the NFL that have very good NFL careers and were just underused is so depressing. Yeah. Even Debo, you would think that he would have been like a Heisman candidate the way he's playing. And he returned several kickoffs all the way. Like he was an explosive kick returner. Yeah. But he was just underused. Anyway.
So here's the thing.
Should have found him at running back.
Dude, after this week, Georgia obviously, because I thought Kentucky was solid this year.
Yeah, they were undefeated at that point.
And then Michigan and Minnesota's, not a great team, but not a bad team by any means. I don't know. Michigan also looks good. It'd be tough to go against the grain and not pick UGA and Michigan in the championship.
I would love that to actually be the championship this year. I wanted it last year. Ohio
TCU.
State.
That was an awful championship game, though.
That was so bad. I would say, so Ohio State was losing the third quarter to Maryland. I think Michigan's going to win again this year. Oklahoma, Texas, that could be interesting. I think we're going to see that because, what is it? The Big 12 doesn't have the divisions the way that it used to.
Yeah.
So we could probably, most likely, we'll see a rematch of that. One thing I want to say about that game. Two things I want to say about that game. Why did I go make a prediction in college?
I don't know.
In the moment, felt very bad about it. Chose to do it anyway. But Texas running to the middle of the field on just like a little dive play on 3rd and 11 or whatever it was at the end of the game. You deserve to lose this game playing a rivalry like that. And then Oklahoma, man, that drive down there with a minute.
Dude, that was a
hot.
Sexy pass too.
Dude, that was great.
Last second, that was, I mean, they deserved it.
They did deserve it. The other thing that made Oklahoma, actually, no, I was going to say that made Oklahoma deserve it, but really made Texas deserve to lose was the 4th and goal on the 1 yard line when they try to run it 4 times and they lose a yard.
Yeah. Embarrassing.
You don't deserve to win the game after
Absolutely not. Where's the, what do they call the Phillies? Or not the Phillies, the Eagles.
The Eagles, the tush push.
Tush push. Yeah. Where's the
brotherly
tush
shove? They brought in, I think it was defensive linemen, so it was 300-pounders. They just got pushed back. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, it is so embarrassing.
I would have gotten pushed back.
McCaffrey would not have gotten pushed back. McCaffrey scores there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a stud. Yeah, imagine if the 49ers were running that play.
Yeah.
Or the Eagle, the Eagles would have pushed it like 15 yards there.
That is, that's unbelievable.
Anyway, we already mentioned Bama won, and then an interesting game coming up this week. We've got Oregon versus Washington, which you wouldn't think about it, but they're ranked 7 and 8, and they're both undefeated. So
dude, should be a great game. I'm excited to watch that with some popcorn.
Maybe it'll be like the Red River because that was a good one. So anyway,
By
NFL
the way,
Week 5.
Baker, I mean, it's no coincidence that Baker Mayfield was at the game. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oklahoma came up to 5. Baker Mayfield, hear me out. He's going to have a moderately successful career the next 5 years or so in the NFL.
Like an average 15th ranked quarterback?
I think that's very fair. Yep, cool. Somewhere around there. And then I think around age, 35, he probably retires because I think he's like late 20s now. So, 6 years or so. And then he's going to become the head coach at Oklahoma. He's going to start by being the quarterback coach, move up to O offensive coordinator.
To O offense.
And then he's going to coach offensive line.
Okay.
No, but then he's going to be the head coach. I'm telling you what, dude. Baker and Oklahoma go together like peanut butter
and bread
and banana.
I'm glad we were thinking the same thing. We're like, we're not going to say jelly, but what's something else?
No, that'd be not.
NFL, Bears, Commanders
beats
Battlestar Galactica 40-20.
Yeah, if you're a Commanders fan, I was actually high on the Commanders and Sam Howell after the Eagles game because Sam Howell's 2-minute drill looked Tom Brady-esque, as we've already talked about, and then getting destroyed by the Bears. I mean, Justin Fields looked great, don't get me wrong, but wow.
Well, I think a lot needs to be said about the Commanders' defense. And they've got some studs on defense.
Dude,
so
Chase
I don't know
Young?
if it's their DC or what, but
Chase Young?
Yeah, he's a stud.
Dog.
So, but their defense looks terrible this year.
As Pat McAfee says, dog.
Looks terrible this year.
Yeah.
So anyway, shout out Bears because it'd been like 14 weeks, something like that without a win. So happy for Chicago, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Also, like, NFL's so weird. Some things just click one week and they haven't won in 14 weeks. And all of a sudden, DJ Moore, you could have thrown into an ocean.
And he should have had that other one too.
Yeah. I mean, he almost had 60 fantasy points.
Has there been a replay of that shown where I didn't look again, but they didn't show it live? And so I was just assuming that means he 100% did not step out of bounds.
Right.
Anyway, stud. Shout out Carolina for getting rid of him. The Niners and the Cowboys. I know that this broke our heart as a 49ers fan and as a Cowboys hater.
Avid hater. Yeah.
I mean,
embarrassing. Someone's got to say it.
The Cowboys did not have a first down until 4 minutes into the second quarter. They had 8 first downs all game. On 11 drives, 8 first downs.
So what do you think? What in the world is the Cowboys? Well, I mean, they did lose Diggs, right? Which definitely really hurts. But, dude, they have so much freaking talent on that team.
So I'm very biased. I will admit that. I think that the 49ers are one of the best NFL teams. I think they're up there with like the 2008 Patriots. They are nasty.
They are nasty, man.
Obviously,
they have all the pieces. They really do.
And right now it's clicking. Injuries, who knows?
Yeah.
Hopefully none of that happens and we get a C. But they look, and dude, Fred Warner, stud.
Yeah. Kurt Warner-esque.
Very similar people. He is. I love watching linebackers. That's just played linebacker. Really enjoyed that.
You were a big linebacker guy.
Luke Kuechly was
dude. I love Luke.
One of my favorite. The duo.
How do you not love Luke
the
Kuechly?
Duo that the Panthers had in 2015.
Thomas Davis. You're talking Luke Kuechly.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the two of them.
Don't even get me.
Exactly.
Oh.
Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw.
Yeah.
Are there. They're that combo again. Fred Warner all over the place. He literally is in man. He's in zone. He's blitzing. He's like the time where he like jumped up and then sacked Dak Prescott. He had the like punch fumble. He had the interception on the tip. Like he's just everywhere and he's so good and he's so smart. And like there's just something about a really good linebacker that both of them, Kuechly got talked about a lot of times that he's like really smart linebacker, but physically he was unreal too. So it's like both Fred Warner and Luke Kuechly were physically dominant.
Yeah.
And then they just had this like
instinct.
The instinct and a good linebacker just plays with that instinct. And man, it is fun to watch when there's someone like that.
100%, dude.
You're just literally like a heartbeat of a defense. And so you get that. And then the defensive line, when you added like Javon Hargrave,
yep,
like Bosa off the end.
Bosa, oh yeah, dude. They're a complete football team. Complete football team.
And one of the best predictors of a championship team are the lines. It's like the line of scrimmage. How is it done in the trenches? And the 49ers, they got some dogs in the trenches.
Think about the Bengals, right? In Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Yeah, they didn't
have best O-line.
Best.
That's why Joe Burrow is still the best.
It's still hurt.
He had a great game.
Speaking of, are the Bengals back?
I'm not going to overreact too much here.
Dude, it's you. Come on. Let it rip.
They're back, baby. I mean, they are so far back.
They're so far back that they're ahead.
I already locked them in for Super Bowl champs.
But
no, I'm not going to.
Offense is starting to click.
So I'm not going to overreact a lot.
Just a little.
But they finally clicked. Jamar Chase looked like the Jamar Chase that he is. Joe Burrow was actually making some deep throws, moving around in the pocket with his mobility. So I think the calf injury was affecting him a little more than they said. And it looks like that he's getting a little bit more healthy, which fires me up and fires the whole NFL up, because who doesn't like a healthy Joe Burrow? Nobody. But I'm still a little leery. I think their defense is not great. And also what makes me nervous is like their O-line still sucks. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts there. So I think they're back to an extent. I wouldn't be surprised. So I hate saying this, but like after the start that they had, I wouldn't be surprised if they missed the playoffs. I know it's a hot take.
You wouldn't be surprised if they missed it?
Yeah, they're just missing a lot, man. I mean, they don't have a great defense. They obviously have one of the worst offensive lines in football. Maybe if Burrow's fully healthy, I think they can win, out of the next 13 games, maybe they can win 9 of them, and be a playoff contending team. But
yeah, but I mean, if you're going, they have 2 wins now, right? They're 2-3, right?
Oh yeah.
So
I kept thinking they were 1-3. Never mind, they'll make the playoffs. Yeah.
So I think they'll probably win this week. Then I think they have the 49ers next week. They'll drop that one.
Yeah, they'll drop.
And I think they're going to go on a little streak. So we'll see.
Ooh, what if they? No, they can't. Their defense just won't stop the 49ers.
No, they won't. They won't. Other news: Bill Belichick. Are the Patriots done? So he suffered his worst loss of his head coaching career in Dallas last week. Then he suffered his worst home loss of his career and the second worst loss of his career this week. 34-0 to the Saints.
All right, this is my overreaction of the week. Because, I always have at least 2 or 3, but this is one of them. Are we misreading into this? Was Bill Belichick not a bad, but an average NFL coach? And he was just under the presence of greatness with Tom Brady.
Instead of the other way around.
Yes, because, I mean, the big argument here, it's like the most simple one. Brady won a Super Bowl when he went to the Bucs.
Yeah.
Right? And the Patriots literally have not been good. And since Tom Brady. And everyone's like, Bill Belichick, one of the best football minds ever. Yep. And look, I think there's so much with people. Here's the thing. We talk about this a lot with business. My take is there's so many times when you look at a successful CEO or successful entrepreneur or someone very successful in the field, and then you look back in their career and like they might in an interview say this, or they might, say like these 3 things were the key to their success, right? But like we talk about, a lot of people do those 3 things, right? And they aren't nearly, a lot of, success maybe comes from different opportunities, potentially luck, potentially, different factors in life. I mean, dude, obviously it's a very encompassing scale of success. Right. And I think people have done that with the legend of Bill Belichick, where they look back and say like, oh, he's won multiple Super Bowls. He's a coaching genius. The Patriots were a dynasty. And then they always ask like, what does he do different? And you see like these Bill Belichick stories. But with anyone who's successful, you have these stories.
Dude, it is an interesting take. I have no idea what to think about it. But everyone talks about Brady was just riding the system built by Bill Belichick.
100%.
And what if it's the other way around? I think that's very interesting. The flip side is like if you look at like an Andy Reid who does it in Philly and then goes to another organization and does it. To me, I'm like,
is Andy Reid
Andy Reid's
coach?
better? I would say, yeah.
Ooh,
I would say
that's a good segment.
Yes.
Is
we
Andy Reid a better coach than Bill Belichick?
I mean, I would probably say yeah.
Wow, that's.
But anyway, that's more. We need to.
I would say yes, but
yeah. Well, another comparison.
That's a knee jerk.
Another comparison that's a knee jerk is David
I'm
Tepper
so glad you
the
put
same
this.
as Jerry Jones?
I am so glad he put
I was reading an article talking about Frank Reich and how Tepper's already upset because he wants a winning team and how he's like very hands-on and very involved. The Panthers are going to become the Cowboys.
Except with less talent.
With less talent and less...
Dude, I'm so glad he put that there because I watched the Frank Reich interview and it like hurt my soul. Right? When he was like, they asked him how involved I think is Tepper. And he was like, well, some owners don't like to be engaged. They don't like to be involved. But Tepper really likes to be engaged with the team. And reports are coming out that he was the one who wanted to draft Bryce Young. And reports are coming out that like, he's making decisions obviously to win like right now, which as we know, those are very scary decisions to make by foregoing. I mean, you could set a team up for failure for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
And it makes me nervous. Like, is that what Tepper's doing? Like, we didn't love Jerry, right? As an owner, we didn't love him.
I liked him way more than Tepper.
But I was about to say, but I think I like him already way more than Tepper. Tepper, I mean, Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. And I think a big part of that has to do with the leash I guarantee Tepper's putting on the staff and the players to win now.
We've been on record saying also that they should have hired Steve Wilkes.
Yeah. Oh
Look at the nasty 49ers defense.
Dude, Steve Wilkes.
I also
Dude, that pisses me off. That actually makes me mad. So how can you win 6 out of 7 games to end the season while you fire Matt Rule in the middle of the season, and then win with like a broken lineup without Christian McCaffrey, win 6 of 7 to end it, and go, oh, by the way, Wilkes, like we're going to do Frank Reich.
Dude, and so here's what I'll say with all of this about Tepper too. Growing up, obviously it was way more South Carolina. I've always liked the NFL. I was a Panthers fan growing up, but it wasn't like I'm miserable on Sundays when they lose.
Yeah.
So then fast forward, a number of Marcus Lattimore goes to the 49ers. Ken Law goes to the 49ers. Debo goes to the 49ers. And then finally, Christian McCaffrey gets traded. So that's when I'm like, I'm going to go. Coincidence, did they take off and start getting really good? I think not. You're welcome, 49ers. I'll take credit. But David Tepper, so now it was like 50-50 for a little bit. I'm willing to say on record, I care way more about the 49ers now than the Panthers. Wow. And I think that Tepper is a lot of the reason why. Like he screwed over the city of Rock Hill. Yeah. Everything that I've seen about him literally just makes me not like the organization.
You know what pisses me off?
And then Wilkes is like another straw. And then it goes to the 49ers. And then I'm like, so all these things that I love and loved about the Panthers are going to the 49ers. And so it's just
having a lot of success.
Yeah. And it's just, I've never been a bandwagon fan of teams, but they were like 1-3 when I went over to them. And so whatever.
So here's also the thing. It's like, I forgot what bias this is. I was reading a book or listening to something where it's like, if someone has success in one field, right? Like say, one day I have a ton of success in the benefits world.
That it translates to another field?
Yes, you have a ton of success in a specific field. You think it translates to every single field. So like a lot of owners that are, by the way, he's a hedge fund guy. He does stocks.
Yeah.
Right? And investments. And he goes, oh, now I can select the quarterback for a franchise.
Yep.
Like, think about how stupid that is.
Or you're like, yeah, I know how to manage, so I can clearly manage it. It's different when you're managing athletes. It's like,
you're managing investments versus like literal football players.
Man, even like in a business sense, wouldn't to be at the top of anything, wouldn't you recognize the things that you're good at and the things that you're not good at?
Right.
And try to separate those two and get people that are better than you to do the things that you're not good at? It just seems like one-on-one, like business 101. So when an owner who's good at having money, let's be honest, that's what they bring to an NFL team. When they start like mixing the pot, like getting in there with like the GM and like the coach and everyone, it's like, what are you doing? If you didn't think they were a good hire, why didn't you just hire yourself as a GM? Like,
I know. And that's what
bring in consultants.
What really scared me about that interview, though, and the last thing I'll say, when anyone wants to win now, that is a very, obviously everyone wants to win now, but when you categorize it like that, and obviously they've shown that like they're willing to forego a lot of the future to quote unquote win now, like that is a very dangerous place to be in the NFL.
With the exception, I think every now and then there's a team that's on the precipice of being really good.
Like the Rams.
Like the Rams. The Rams are the example that I'm thinking about.
Yeah.
Also, when you're looking at contracts, you're like, we're going to have like, these are running out, salary cap, all these things are going to get into play. I think at that point, it makes sense to put like maybe a little bit of gas on it, if you will. You're
100%.
Like, I think that if I pour a little gas on it, yes, I'm going to sacrifice a couple years down, but like, it will actually it could translate to a championship.
100%.
That I think is when I'm okay with it. But when you are the worst team in the NFL and you're like, I want to win now. Well, great. What are you going to do so you can actually, that's a reality in a couple years, not a dream.
Correct.
So.
You don't draft a rookie quarterback and then
if you wanted to win now, then keep the team that started winning after you fired your head coach.
Yeah. And with the whole rookie quarterback conversation, like, no rookie's going to win Super Bowl, right? Like Brock Purdy, I mean, he made it the NFC Championship.
I mean, if he could have if he didn't get hurt. That's the closest. But like, you're not going to get a rookie quarterback to come in and transform an organization, take you to Super Bowl. That I think is where the difference is.
Correct.
Like you could feasibly get a rookie on a team that's close and go, but you're not going to get like.
Yeah. Dude, the thing with the Panthers that sucks, they have so. We gotta get off topic because I can go on forever, but they have so many holes. And that's why I say I don't think they're gonna be good for the next like 5 to 10 years. Because it's not like they're just like, oh, we have a really good defense. We just have to figure out the offense or the O-line. Like, no. It's like
you were close at some points and then you started moving backwards and backwards.
In like every single aspect.
Yeah.
So
it's a dumpster fire. Anyway, quarterback spotlight. You want to do we're not going to talk about, we're going to trade one of your soapboxes, the Panthers, and bring another one, quarterbacks.
The quarterbacks, dude.
So
I think you should go first with Brock Purdy, though. I want to hear what you have to say.
You want to hear what I've got?
I really do.
I'm kind of excited about this one. Done some research, some thinking. It all stemmed from, and you're part of the problem, but I'll give you a chance to redeem yourself afterwards, of the disrespect on Brock Purdy, of people being like, he's a good system quarterback. He's a good... Like, you know, he's good for a late round draft pick, or like he does what he can and he's like outperformed. I'm sick of it. He's just a good quarterback at this point. And I think people need to recognize it. In the last 30 years. So, well, okay, let me take it back one step before. Oh, dude, I've done some research on this.
Man.
So like my thesis part of this is I think that the reason people disrespect him and talk about it like that is because of the draft bias that exists around quarterbacks. 100%. I think more than any other position, there's just a ridiculous bias around quarterbacks. And so what I did is I looked over the last 30 years. It's actually 31 years because I did 1993 to 2023 inclusive. So that was fun. But over the last 31 years, there have been 54 quarterbacks drafted in like the top 10, using top 10 picks.
Yeah.
So a lot of quarterbacks there. So if you look at, we're going to look at those quarterbacks based off of like passer rating.
Yeah.
QBR might be a better stat than passer rating, but right now the NFL measures quarterback performance off of passer rating. So we'll do that.
Yeah.
So using the criteria of quarterbacks that have had at least 136 passing attempts in a season, because that's how many Brock Purdy's thrown this year so far. Over the last 2 decades, essentially, the NFL average passer rating is around 88. Okay.
I like
so
that.
that's just like the average one. So
I like that.
if we take the 54 quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 over the last 31 years, and we look at how many of them have had an average or a season with the average passing rating of 88. So just like one average NFL season.
Yeah.
Only 35 of those 54 quarterbacks, so just under 65% of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 had one average NFL season. Take it a little bit further.
Holy smokes.
The quarterbacks that have had 2 average seasons or more.
Yeah.
There have only been 26 of those 54 drafted that have had 2 average NFL seasons, below half.
Yeah. Wow.
So
wow, I would have never.
Okay,
Yeah, never
right.
guessed
So
that.
we're gonna go a few more layers deeper on this. So a good passer rating, the scale goes up to, I think it's 158.3.
Okay.
So 100 is a good passing rating. Like if you have 100 on your season, that's a really good season. For like a little reference point on this, Tom Brady has had 8 seasons with 100. So like solid, like
Solid,
very good. And for the record, I understand that like like Bryce Young, for instance, he hasn't had a passer rating of 88. That's not to say that he's not in a few years, but we're just talking about what's happened today right now.
Yeah.
So, okay. Of the 54 quarterbacks drafted in the top 10, only 20 of them have had one season where they had a passer rating of 100 or more. So we're down to 37% of those quarterbacks had one good season. The number of quarterbacks that repeated it and had 2 seasons of 100 or more, we're now down to 13. So less than a quarter of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 have had 2 good NFL seasons. Okay. Brock Purdy's coming back into the equation now. I told you I did some research. In 2023, so last year, Brock Purdy's passer rating was 107.3. And this year...
Wow, can you count that though?
Well, yeah, because there are other quarterbacks that are in the criteria. Like it's all set for quarterbacks that have had 136 passing attempts or more. And he had more than that. He played like 9 games.
136.
That's what he's at so far on this season.
Oh.
Yeah, so...
But I see
9 games. That's a lot.
That's half. I mean, it's half.
Yeah.
Literally, it's half.
Over half.
53%, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So...
But I'm just saying, like, okay.
Still...
He had a great,
So right now, and he's at 123.1 so far on this season.
Yeah,
at 5 games. Well so even if you combine that, that would raise up his average even more.
Yeah.
So if anything, the fact that he didn't play a whole season, his rookie, you'd be like comparing people on their first half of the season, which can be even worse. Mm-hmm. So I understand it could work negatively against it, but it could also be in his favor. So now if we look at the same stats, 136 passing attempts, the number of quarterbacks that have had a passer rating during the season of 107.3. And keep in mind, like some of these quarterbacks got hurt halfway through the year, and it's counting the season that they did good. There have only been 6 quarterbacks that have had one season at 107.3. There have only been...
Wait, ever?
Of the 54 drafted in the top 10 in the last 31 years, only 6 of them have ever had a passer rating of 107.3 in a season. Now, the number of quarterbacks that have done that more than one time, the list is down to 3.
Peyton Manning,
Patrick Mahomes, and Matt Ryan.
Wow.
And guess what? Those quarterbacks have only done it twice. No one's done it 3 times.
So it's really hard to get above 107.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in his career, he's well above 107.
Because if you factor it games.
Tom Brady has done it 3 times, had above 107.
Yeah.
So, okay. Now, and then if you just look at this season, the last part of the rant, passer rating right now, like I just said, 123.1. That's first in the league. QBR, 83.6. The other, like the ESPN's version of passer rating, which is first in the league. Interceptions, thrown 0. Yes, you're right. If you throw 0 interceptions, that's first in the league. Yards per attempt, he's second at 9.4. Completion percentage, second at 72.1%. Touchdowns, tied for 7th at 9th. Passing yards, 8th. If any quarterback drafted in the top 10 puts up those numbers, people are talking about how he's an elite quarterback. He's probably going to be a lock-in for a Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But because you're drafted in the 7th round or 5th round and beyond, wherever you want to put it, he's a good system quarterback. That is ridiculous. That's my rant for you.
Look, first of all, I love the research. And you make a good point, because like there is a huge bias in quarterbacks, because we think that if they're drafted, 1, 2, or 3 overall as a QB, they should be a Peyton Manning, right?
Yeah.
And it's not true, because as you just pointed out, like it's not even close. But I do think Brock Purdy is overlooked a lot by including people like me, because it's like he does have so many good pieces, from the coaching staff to obviously the players, but you still have to throw the football. Like no one's throwing the football.
And he's been slinging it more than people realize. And that's why I think, yes, he's on a good team. Yes, that makes an impact.
Shanahan's
but some of these other ones,
is Shanahan better than Bill Belichick?
Oh, I think he's a smarter football mind, But if you look at when you're judging, we joked about the test that's the equivalent of a BuzzFeed quiz.
Yeah, fair enough.
So if you're looking at a quarterback, you've got arm, you've got height, you've got build, you've got college performance. But those are not great indicators of NFL success. And so, yes, Brock Purdy doesn't have the best arm, but would you trade someone who makes smarter, better reads for someone who has a little bit weaker arm?
Let me say something here.
Yeah.
And I've never said this. I've said this, I guess, in certain aspects, but the quarterback is, I think, unanimously probably the hardest position to play, if not top 3 in all of sports. Right? Yeah. I mean, it's a very, between athletic, between mental,
it's a PhD position that you need you
need to run I mean, it's just, dude, and the physical tools you have to have, and how fast you have to process information. Joe Montana said something, and once again, I think maybe it's a little bit and I think it was Joe Montana, or maybe it was Steve Young, one of the great quarterbacks. But I think it's definitely like, oh, this is why he's had, like one of those conversations, like you can't, but I do believe, for especially quarterbacks, it's such a very specific position that you have to be born with a trait. You have to be born with this trait. And I actually, whoever said it, Steve Young or Joe Montana recently in the last few days, you have to be able, and Joe Burrow has this trait too, and so does, I hate Josh Allen, but Josh Allen's fine. Josh Allen does a pretty good job. Patrick Mahomes is completely like this too. You have to be able to lower your heart rate, and to almost like the higher the pressure gets and the bigger the moment, the more relaxed you are.
Yeah.
And I think Brock Purdy does that. Yeah. And I think that that's something you could never miss. Like you can never, I guess, unless you hooked him up maybe on a heart, but still then you could never really measure that. But I think it's something all the great quarterbacks have. It's like they can be calm, right? In the midst of
it's like the game slows down for them in the moments. And you're right. You can't really measure it. You can't teach it and you can't really measure it. And I also don't fault people for drafting quarterbacks high and doing the best you can to guess it. It's like, yes, if you get a good quarterback, it's like winning but it's like winning the lottery. If you get it, great. That's awesome. It's just ridiculous that when someone is showing the traits that you would call a quarterback drafted high a good quarterback for, that then you make excuses because you didn't know it. It's like, it's a crapshoot. It's 65% of the quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 in the last 31 years had one average season.
Correct. One
average.
Yeah. That's also a really interesting point. But I really believe that I'm starting to believe it more and more, especially the more because I feel like the quarterback I just fall in love with, because, I should have been a big QB guy, but, I should have been.
Oh, yeah, because how did the competition go?
I should have been drafted.
Behind me. Actually, no, you would have been the top 10 pick. I would have been Mr. Irrelevant that won a Super Bowl.
No, but
second year.
I just think it's fascinating because it's you have a lot of, Tom Brady obviously was 6th round. Patrick Mahomes was late first, right? Late first round. 10th. Oh, was he 10th?
Yeah.
Okay.
But still,
he was the 3rd or 4th quarterback taken.
Yep.
So it's there's something there, because people NFL scouts, they're not dumb. Think about with other positions. Think about Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, as long as he works decently hard, is going to be good.
Yeah, running backs, receivers, a lot, of that stuff makes sense. But these
people, and they do miss every once in a while, but they're pretty spot on a lot of times. But quarterbacks, man, is the one position they can never, ever, ever, ever get right.
And then because I completely agree with what you said. But yet the draft bias that exists towards a quarterback is greater.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then it's like, I bet the people doing it would be more likely to be like, you know, we're just guessing. It's an important position. We're doing our best.
Yeah, and I think, dude, I'm a big believer though too that once again, like you can ruin a quarterback, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Where like, dude, Zach Wilson stood no chance. Like, okay, maybe not no chance. That's a little aggressive. But like when he came in the league, 3 or 4 years ago, like my guy Zach was just set up to fail. Now, that's not saying he like 100% would fail, but it's saying that like imagine walking in that system or imagine walking in Kyle Shanahan. Like, you know, it's like it's night and day different. And so, and I also think confidence with QBs is so fickle, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like if you lose that confidence, I mean, because it's tough to gain it back in the NFL. In college, you can play like a team, like, you know, you can play a crappy team in week 2, go have 450 yards and 5 TDs and get the confidence back. DBs. Absolutely not. So it's very easy to lose confidence. And the minute I feel like, because it's so fast in the NFL, the minute you hesitate, you throw 3 picks.
Well, so even I was listening to Kyle Shanahan talk about Brock Purdy, and he was saying that like he hasn't thrown any interceptions yet, and some idiot reporter is like, yeah, so like is he just like trying not to and like thinking about it? And Kyle Shanahan's like, no, like if you're trying not to throw an interception, you're gonna throw an interception.
Right.
It's just like
smart, yeah.
Like you've got to just make a quick read, make a good read, and throw the ball. Like, and if you watch the Cowboys game, even like Brock Purdy was slicing and dicing, and
dude, he was. I mean, that's a good take. I mean, I'm slow but surely because of your negotiating skills becoming more,
because of my annoying
becoming more of a Brock Purdy fan.
You're like, I will submit and say he's a good quarterback if you just shut up, Joe.
I would really like the statistics though. Last thing I'll say about Brock Purdy is like, yes, I think he has definitely some unbelievable innate traits to be a QB. But there definitely is something to be said for your receivers being more open because you have a better offensive line. And you have a phenomenal running game. So it's like from a defense standpoint, you know, because a lot of times rookie QBs, they don't typically have much of a rush game.
Yeah.
Right? Or an O-line because they're drafted top 5, top 10. And so it's tighter windows, right? And I'd be interested to see like that stat.
But then like the other piece of all of this when we're talking about quarterbacks is what really does make a good quarterback then? Do you want someone who's just freakishly athletic, can make some really good plays and make something out of nothing? It's like, that doesn't really always lead to a championship.
Absolutely
Even
not.
like with Patrick Mahomes, he has that ability, but when he's at his best, he's using the pieces around him. Like a quarterback, if you think about it, like if you're playing quarterback, it's like, how am I using these pieces around you? So to the Brock Purdy point, I hear what you're saying, but I'm like, shouldn't that even be more of a testament to him being a good quarterback, that he doesn't try to do more, that he lets the pieces around him shine? Yeah. He's thrown 9 touchdowns. He could throw more. He could have more yards. But like, there's Christian McCaffrey, there's Debo, there's all these pieces. Like a good quarterback should make the team good.
You know who hadn't thrown for an interception as well as Brock Purdy?
Derrick Henry.
That is true. But CJ Stroud.
Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah. Dude, CJ Stroud. So we're going to get my quarterback spotlight. CJ Stroud's one of them, man. We'll do number 1, CJ Stroud. He has broken officially the NFL record for most pass attempts by a QB without an interception to start their career. Like, first of all, think about how many quarterbacks, have come through and like thrown a pick before him. And obviously that's not the end all be all, but that's still a pretty crazy statistic.
And for the record, when I was given the draft statistics, he's one of the quarterbacks holding down that he's had an average season.
Yeah.
He's above average.
Dude, he is by far. In fact, you could seriously make the argument, yes, Brock Purdy had a great 9 games, but you could make the argument that like since Cam Newton, like starting week 1.
Yeah.
Right? Like starting number 1, week 1 behind the realm, he's having the best rookie season since Cam Newton for sure. Arguably the best start to a rookie QB ever.
You could also argue that he's making the biggest difference too. As
correct.
A starter, where that might be even more so. It's like with Cam Newton, you come in
Texas could be a playoff team, dude.
Yeah, and who even could imagine that being the case? So I'm impressed with him. I was a very big doubter before.
Yeah.
But the BuzzFeed quiz, I guess, might have been wrong.
And you know what's funny? I was begging the Panthers not to draft CJ Stroud I was like,
well, to your defense,
don't.
you did go back and forth. You did beg them to draft him, then you begged not to.
Yeah.
And to be honest,
coming out.
But where we arrived, and I still, maybe CJ Stroud will be better. Like, once again, the Texans have had a lot of early picks over the last decade.
Well,
but like, we were all like, I don't think it's worth trading to number one. And I still kind of stand by that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really, definitely Brady's having the worst rookies from top three, right? Anthony Richardson's having a better season as well. So that's number one. So every week I'm going to do three, just an update, 3 quarterback spotlights, because we love talking about quarterbacks on this show.
Yeah.
So number 2, I'm going to do a downer. So I'm going to try to do, depending on the week, but like 2 ups and 1 down.
Like
right?
That.
Gotta be Dak Prescott.
Like the classic who's hot, who's not?
Yeah.
Who'd you say?
Dak Prescott, dude, is down. You there's no ifs, ands, or buts here with Dak Prescott.
Well, right before the game, I texted you. I was like, you got it, because Christian loves the bet where he's like 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I was like, you got to hammer it against Dak.
I should have bet 3 picks.
3 picks. Did you see Stephen A's video?
Yeah,
that was hilarious.
He definitely hates the Cowboys more than I do. But
I think it's just for Skip Bayless.
Yeah, but the down, dude, Dak Prescott, I mean, look at this. I just want to read some statistics to you, right? In 5 games, he's only had 5 TDs. And he's had 4 picks. And his rating's not awful. Like, he's not having an awful season. But, dude, Dak
You know who's
Prescott,
worse than that, though? Jimmy G.
Yeah, dude, Jimmy G's, he's struggling a little bit. He's struggling. But you got to say Dak, because, dude, people, once again, every year, they come in with this bias. Like, Dak is going to be a top 10 quarterback in the league. You know, Cowboys are going to make it to the Super Bowl. Like, obviously, there's a lot of Cowboys fans out there. And, I mean, against Arizona, so the 2 games that they lost, right? Yep. Against Arizona, 1 pick, 1 TD, 78 passing rating. Not great, not awful. And then obviously San Francisco just tore him a new one. Like, at what point do the Cowboys either move on or, I don't know, because the Cowboys have the pieces.
Yeah, but
or is it a Jerry Jones thing?
I think it is.
Is it not even
like,
Dak
I'm going to be
thing?
honest, because look at Tony Romo, look at you name it. They've always had pieces. They've always had a good team. And they're, I think it's what happens when you have an owner who's trying to like
involved,
who's way too involved.
Yeah,
you're the owner.
That's a good
not
point.
The GM. That's my take on. Because other thing is that since
he's had some really good seasons,
right? He needs to run more.
Yeah,
I think if he ran a little bit more.
Dude, I mean, he's had some really good, I mean, he's obviously had some injuries, right? Like, he normally gets injured for the last few games. But, dude, like in 2021, 4,500 yards, 104 QB rating. Yeah. In fact, he's had like 5 seasons above 87. So, 87 quarterback rate, or the rating, passing rating. And so, you're right. It could maybe not be a Dak thing.
I think he's a middle of the road quarterback.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem is people want to put him in the top 10. He's not a top 10 quarterback, but he's also not
but he's also shown that he could be. I think that's the thing. It's like, dude, he's had a couple seasons where it's like, okay, that's top 10 quarterback season.
I think this is another interesting quarterback talk. I think the top 5, 6, I don't know the exact number. I'd have to look at them, but I think there's a top core that's like, these are the elite quarterbacks in the league. They're always a top 10. I think season-wise, maybe it's like 7 to 10. That's a floating position. Yeah. And so I think that there's probably 15, 16, again, I wish I looked at these numbers, quarterbacks that have had top 10 seasons and could be a top 10 quarterback. So then we conflate it so that there should be 20 top 10 quarterbacks. It's like is there 20 quarterbacks in the top 10? That doesn't add up. So,
but once again, Dak also was in a top, what was the second round?
What was him?
Second or third round?
What was him?
So, honestly, though, comparative to where they picked him, great value for the Cowboys, right? If you flip the conversation a little bit.
Yeah, he was 135th overall.
So that would be third round.
It's round 4, pick 135.
Yeah, 4th round. Okay. So, for a 4th round quarterback draft pick, the Cowboys have gotten some bang for their buck there. You got to admit.
Yeah,
right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's, people love to hate on Dak Prescott. I don't think he's Patrick Mahomes, but I don't think he's as bad as people think either.
I think, dude,
but Jared Jones,
but you got to think for the week.
Oh, yeah, for the week.
Yeah.
We could also put it on whoever's playing the 49ers.
So okay, so here's what I'm saying for number 3. And someone who I've watched some film, some tape of this guy, right?
At Oklahoma?
No, I'm not going with Baker Mayfield
Tennessee?
this week. I am not going with Tennessee.
Not the neuroscientist or whatever?
I am going to go with Sam Howell as my 3rd. Now, he didn't quite win. He did almost pass for 400 yards. Now, he was throwing the whole game, had 50 attempts. But I got to talk about Sam Howell this week because obviously it's my first segment.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in Sam Howell. I'm a big believer in like mental strength that Sam Howell has and how cool he is sometimes in like the final 2 minutes and those types of drives. So I want to, this is also why I'm a big believer in him. You're going to make a lot of mistakes as a young QB.
Fair.
It's just going to happen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at it from a season statistic wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got almost 1,400 yards passing in 5 games.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very solid. But he's only got 6 TDs and 6 picks. So if you look at it from a stat, you're like he's not having a great season. But he's only had 1 bad game. He threw 4 picks against the Bills. 4 picks. But guess what he did the next week? Almost 300 yards against an Eagles defense with a TD and no turnovers and no picks.
Interesting.
100 passer rating.
Huh.
So quarterbacks that are young and that can have those awful games
Yeah.
and then come back against a good Eagles defense and perform well. And that 2-minute drill, by the way, against the Eagles was Tom Brady-esque, as I keep saying.
You have said that a number of times, but I don't
think
disagree.
The Commanders' defense is awful. Very bad.
Very bad.
But I do think Sam Howell is a big bright spot for the Commanders.
I like that. Huh. I don't know. I like him. I hope he does well.
Yeah. All right.
I like that one. Yeah. I don't really know what I want to add, but I'm like, I hope that he has a good career. I like him. I think he's a good quarterback. Seems like a cool dude.
Plus UNC, he's a UNC guy.
Yeah.
Which he wasn't obviously as famous as Caleb Presley, but he is. That could be a big debate. Who do you think's been better in the NFL? Drake May or Sam Howell? Mitch Trubisky?
Mitch, your boy. All right, power ranking time.
Dude, we have the same picks.
We are very similar on this one.
This is no fun.
This is not fun.
I'll go
changed
first.
it.
I'm going to go first. So Ravens at 10. They got to work through some injuries, but I still think they're going to be a top 10 team.
And what I want to add to that one, too, is the Steelers. It's so easy to read in that. They just always play close. It doesn't matter. Dude. So, I'm
it's
with
like
you
the
there.
Alabama Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, like, it's typically going to be a pretty close game. Cowboys at 9. I mean, they're still a solid team. I still think they're going to make the playoffs, but don't love them at all, just in general. Seahawks are looking great under Geno Smith. Funny enough, Geno Smith is arguably having a top 10 QB season. Number 7, Bucks. My guy Baker. It's tough to put him not at number 1.
Yep.
6 is Bills. I think that's a pretty fair assessment for the Bills. I love the Lions at 5. I think the Lions are looking great this year. And the fact that they don't even have to use Gibbs, pisses me off as a fantasy owner of Gibbs. But it's a testament to how good they are this year. Because if they weren't this good, obviously they'd be using Gibbs a lot more. And anyway.
And without St. Brown.
Correct.
They still crush the Panthers. Love that.
Dolphins 4, dynamic offense. I still have some questions about their defense, but an absolute dynamic offense. Number 3, Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes, still looking sexy. 2, Eagles. I mean, the Eagles, just a solid 5-0 team. But they're still not looking as good as your San Francisco 49ers, who are looking, I agree, absolutely dominant.
I like that. We are matchy here, unfortunately. Jags, I'm putting them in a 10.
Ooh,
I've gone back and forth.
Trevor Lawrence, you hate him.
I've gone so back and forth on what I think about the Jags this year. And again, shown by where the Bills are in Jags, I don't put a lot of stock into the London games. There's just a lot of factors at play.
Yeah.
And they were there for a couple weeks. I don't know. Cowboys at 9, I would love to kick them out of the top 10. I just haven't yet.
Yeah, I would love that.
I'm like, I think the 49ers are so good that I can't use how badly they lost as a reason to kick them out. But I'm just waiting for the moment to kick them out of the top 10. Bucks in at 8. They keep winning. I think they're going to lose this week, but that's another story. Seahawks at 7. Okay, and then this is where we're matchy. Same, whatever, boring. Bills at 6. Again, I don't put too much stock in their loss. I saw they win on Friday, not even Thursday, to London.
Wow.
Which is a bold strategy. I guess it's trying to figure out like what's the best way with jet lag and figuring it out. And I think that was a dumb decision. But anyway, I think they're still a top tier team. Lions, I think they look really good. Yeah. I understand the Seahawks beat them. I think the Lions are better than the Seahawks. There it is. I said it. Dolphins at 4. So the other thing, I've mentioned this in the past, I look at these and try to think like, which team do I think would beat each other right now? The Dolphins are such a weird team because their upside. So weird. Dude. Like I still think it would be fun to see a 49ers Dolphins Super Bowl. Like that could be fun. Their upside's really good, but they're just not as consistent. And so I don't know what to make of them. Anyway, Chiefs at 3.
Love their head coach.
Sorry, I'm going to clarify. Chiefs plus the NFL at 3 because
so annoying, dude. It seems like every week the officials.
The protective angel. Also, the fact that Snead took his helmet off and the official was just like, put it back on instead of giving him a penalty. Like, what? What is this? What is this garbage? The NFL's favorite team, the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Eagles at 2. They keep winning 5-0. And then we're going to pull this up because the 49ers, like I've said, could be one of the best teams that we've seen. They've won every game by an average spread of 19.8. And they've scored an average of 33.4 points a game. They've beaten teams by almost 20 points on average, taking their starters out before the fourth quarter.
Isn't that insane, dude?
That is.
I mean, they don't have a weakness, right? Like defensively, they look unbelievable. Offensively, both lines look great. Offensive line and defensive line look good.
The weakness that I would put for the 49ers is that they're so physical that injuries are
inevitable.
No, but they're potential.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be physical. They practice hard. They practice fast. They play hard. They're always in on every play. So that's the one nervous part of them. Anyway, picks. Reviewing last week. You won again.
Your boy was 4.
You won.
Let's go.
Again, shout out NFL for keeping the over-under to missing on the Vikings game because of that call.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, I was 3-2. You were 4-1.
4-1, baby.
4-1. You're now 500.
He's back.
He's 12-1, and I'm 15-10. Again, the pod's looking pretty good on our predictions.
He's back, ladies and gents.
Jumping in, you want to go first on this again?
I do. Yeah, I love going first. Man, I'm kind of feeling sexy after that, which is dangerous because I could go 1 for 4 here.
Although I like your picks. I'm looking at them now.
Yeah, but just because you like them, you're not. You don't understand.
I'm an idiot. You don't know anything. I'm 12-12.
All right, so for starters, number 1, we have Seahawks at Bengals, 3-point favorites, Cincinnati Bengals. I think they cover. I think they just clicked last week. I think they're going to score a lot of points against Seahawks and win by a touchdown.
I also think it's a must-win for them.
Correct.
So that I like that pick for that reason.
Colts at Jaguars. I'm actually, I hate this, but I'm kind of taking your advice because the Jaguars were in London for 2 weeks and then now they're back in the States. But I think they're going to get a rude awakening from a guy with a mustache, potentially, Gardner Minshew. So I like Indiana to cover the 4.5-point spread.
So it's like your flair, the reverse of mine. Like I hate the games traveling to London. You're like, well, if Joe hates it going there, then I hate the return from London.
And then Eagles at Jets. I mean, dude, the Eagles look so good. I think they're going to confuse Zach Wilson a lot on defense. And I also believe that their offense is gelling now as well. So I like them by 10 or 14 against the Jets.
And the spread's only 7, so...
Panthers to Dolphins.
I don't think
I'm 2 for 2 or 3 for 3 against the Panthers spread. So we're going Miami to cover a 13.5-point spread in the NFL, which has to be one of the biggest lines. Like there can't be an NFL game that has more than two scores.
This week or
no, 13.5.
What are you saying of all time? There was a Bills one. It was last year. No, it was 2 years ago. That I think was 24. It was whatever. It was either 18 or 20. It was ridiculous. So I was like,
and then Lions at Bucks. I am going both top 10 teams in my opinion, but I think Lions take it by more than 3 and cover the spread. I think Lions win by 10 against the Bucks as well.
Just chewing ice here, no big deal. All right. I'm going to start with that one because I also have that. I like the Lions at the Bucks, the Lions covering. I think the Lions are a very, very good team. The Bucks haven't really played anyone. The one team they played,
Saints. They did beat the Saints, which their defense looks good.
But the Saints, I don't even know what I think about the Saints. I know that the Eagles are a good team, and the Bucks did not look good against the Eagles. So
yeah, till the end.
I think they're going to struggle against like more physical teams. Anyway, I like the Lions here. Panthers and Dolphins. Once again, matchy. I like the Panthers losing.
Yeah, dude. Any team that's playing the Panthers, I'm hammering that spread.
I don't know if I'm quite there yet, but the Dolphins against the Panthers, yeah, all day. 13.5, that makes it's a large spread.
There.
But
I'm there with the Panthers until they prove me wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, so now 49ers and Browns. Got 2 picks coming from this game. First up, we've got San Francisco covering -5. Again, remember I said they've won every game by an average of 19.8 against the Browns. Until they prove me wrong, -5, hammering that. The other interesting one is the over-under is 37.5.
I was just, what?
I was saying their average score is 33.4. They have not scored, the 49ers have not scored less than 30 points all season. So, and then again, if I'm assuming they get off to an early lead, they're going to like chill out towards the end of the game. I think that the Browns are going to score 10 points.
37.5?
Yeah, so I'm hitting the over there, which, I mean, again, when you see something that low, it kind of makes you a little bit nervous. It's like, what am I not thinking about?
Yeah.
But Deshaun Watson's back, right? I think I wouldn't even be shocked if the 49ers scored that. They scored 42 against Dallas, which Dallas does have a good defense. Like, at the end of the day, they do have a good defense. Anyway, last pick for tonight, not tonight, Tuesday, but Thursday night game, we've got the Broncos at the Chiefs. I got a little parlay for the fellas, plus 122 odds. Isaiah Pacheco is going to score a touchdown, and then we're going to move the line. The line is 10.5, and we're going to move it down to 5.5. So the Chiefs are going to cover 5.5, and Isaiah Pacheco is going to score a touchdown against the Broncos.
Ooh, I like that. And Pacheco, you threw that in.
Yeah, because his straight up is like -170. We've got Mr. Incognito, who had a rough week, 0-3 on his picks. So not as good as some other people, but here he is.
What's up, guys? Mr. Incognito coming back after a tough week of picks from last week. 3 close games, 3 close losses, but hey, that's why they're hot takes. Planning on bouncing back this week. So game number 1, I got A&M going into Tennessee and pulling off the upset. We've seen some cracks in Tennessee's game, as evidenced in their loss to Florida. Texas A&M's a pretty good team. I'm going with them on this one. All right, we have number 25, Miami, traveling to number 12, UNC. Miami's a 3.5 point underdog. Miami just is coming off of a really tough loss to Georgia Tech when they had the game wrapped up, and a coaching blunder got Georgia Tech the ball back, and Miami ended up losing. I think Georgia Tech, or rather, I think Miami comes into this game with a little heat under them and wants to prove a point, and I think they pull the upset off. Last game, I got Oregon traveling to Washington. Oregon's a 3-point underdog. I think it's going to be a shootout, but I think Bo Nix's 7 years or 10 years or whatever of experience playing college football is going to get them to win in this one.
He's been there so long. Or not. Catch you next week. He's been in college football so long. Dude, I like those. I like that. Miami, though, not taking a knee and trying to run the ball and then fumbling it and giving it to Georgia Tech. Ridiculous.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
You got to think in the moment, what are they thinking?
Also, the running back shouldn't have fumbled, should have gone down instead of fighting for extra yardage. Yes, but why did you make that call? That's not even, I don't even think that's the running back's fault at that point. Like, that's just stupid.
Yeah, I don't, dude. Sometimes I feel like people are just in the moment and they're like,
people should be more like us. You know what?
Also, I need to do a shout out real quick because
why is this?
Our guy Scott, big NHL guy, and NHL starts to the day we're recording on Tuesday, October 10th. 10-10.
Bruins are going to be the team of death.
Dude, I'm a big Bruins guy. I mean, we're losing some people, but I'm a big Bruins guy. And we need to have, I'm going to text Scott. We should have Scott on the pod sometimes for the NHL updates because my guy is locked and loaded. Dude, he knows NHL more than we know football for sure.
Love that.
Yeah.
Also, why are you not a Canes fan?
So, you know what's crazy about that?
Yeah.
Canes were only an hour and a half from South Hill.
That's why I asked you. Why are you not a Canes fan?
I never went to a game. No one ever talked about it. Dude, nobody. When I tell you South Hill, dude, we didn't have a tennis team. We never talked hockey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a big hockey fan, but I care whenever I'm watching hockey. I want the Canes to win because I grew up close to them.
Dude, I never, ever.
Anyway.
I'm from Charlotte. Obviously, I'm a big Panthers fan. Never. My family never liked it. Never knew anyone who was a hockey until I moved to Richmond.
So just picked up the Bruins.
I picked up the Bruins.
Love it. Love it. All right, our draft today. We're just drafting it simple. It's the worst NFL teams in 2023 so far. Or not even so far. We just think in general. You got the first pick.
This could be one of the easiest picks, right? It was like the Carolina Panthers drafted Bryce Young, and they're like unanimous number 1 draft pick Bryce Young, where I am unanimously picking the Carolina Panthers as the worst team in the NFL.
Because at the end of the day, you still have David Tepper as the owner.
Dude, I'm as a Carolina Panthers fan, it hurts. I'd rather be a Jets fan. I said
it. I don't know. It rivals it close. My number 1 pick is going to be the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Because Russell Wilson isn't even your problems anymore. Russell Wilson looks fine.
Still a weird guy, though,
but you get Sean Payton. You're like, he's going to be the answer. He's disaster. Your defense is now a disaster.
Everything is a disaster.
You win a Super Bowl with Peyton Manning. I guess you traded your soul to get it. Maybe it's in the little horse by the airport or something, because it is a tough ride for people in Denver these days.
Yeah.
Also hilarious. My brother's a big Panthers fan. My sister-in-law is a big Broncos fan. They live in Denver. They got it tough this year.
Dude, that is awful.
Oh, well, she grew up though near the 49ers. So
yeah, fair enough. Well, she's 49ers at heart. Number 2 for me, these are easy picks.
Yeah.
Back to back. You have to go the New England Patriots. Yeah. And with my hot take that Tom Brady carried Bill Belichick. Because what the heck is going on with the Patriots, dude? They are getting blown away in NFL games.
They get so pumped about their new lighthouse. They go 0-3.
All the reports go, is it Mac Jones? No, I think your problem's a little bigger than Mac Jones.
Man, they got it tough.
Yeah.
And it couldn't happen to a better team.
Dude.
There's not a team that I would be happier about.
It's like the slogan, what goes up
must come down. And I hope that they have the inverse franchise.
Yeah, they become the new Panthers.
No, they become the new Texans.
Yeah.
And they have all the bad luck of the Jets, and they have the number 1 pick for the next 20 years and do nothing with it. Oh, man. Up there in this year, the Giants.
Yeah.
Saquon, unfortunately, getting hurt. Danny Dimes, good job getting paid, and now sucking.
Yeah.
Dable, I thought you were a good coach. The Giants they've gotten blown out so many times this year.
They made the playoffs last year, and then now don't even look like they're going to finish outside the top, the worst 3 in the NFL. What?
Without anything changing, really.
Yeah.
That's what's crazy is
they lost a couple people on the line, I think.
The Vikings and the Giants, they played in the playoffs last year. Neither team changed drastically. Yes, Dalvin Cook's gone. There's some stuff that happened. But they're both 1-4 now.
Yeah.
And
it's tough to bounce back.
Vikings, though, I would have way ahead of the Giants.
Oh, 100%. I think, and by the way, I saw a great statistic. Side note, quarterback. Obsessed with quarterbacks. Since 2018, Kirk Cousins has been a top 3 quarterback in the league.
Dude,
statistically.
We talked about it.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
He was 3rd in passing yards, 3rd in passing TDs, and 2nd in something in the last 5 years. But only behind Patrick Mahomes.
People, it's cool. It's sexy to hate on Kirk Cousins. No one's going to... No one thinks it's sexy to like Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But he gets a job.
And anyway. So for me, I'm surprised you haven't picked this one yet. It's the Chicago Bears.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness. Justin Fields did have a really good day against the Commanders last week. But, I mean, the bad news Bears, at least they got DJ Moore, though.
And the Panthers pick. So,
yeah, and the Panthers picks for the next 40 years.
I guess technically we're talking about the 2023 season, but I'm also just talking about the worst NFL teams right now. And the Bears got DJ Moore. They got a win finally.
Yeah.
And they're about to have the first and second pick in the draft next year.
Yeah,
so,
dude, they might
if you get the
good.
first and second pick, you're getting the Panthers pick, you at least have that going for you. So you still suck, but you have a little bit of hope, which actually makes it hurt worse. You know what's going to be the worst part? The hope?
No, not the hope, but the fact they're going to draft a QB and ruin him. That's the worst. Just pick 2 people on the line and move forward.
So there's some bad teams.
Yeah.
Those 5 were lock-ins. I think pick number 6 now. There are a few that it could be. I'm going to go with the Jets, though, because you get Aaron Rodgers. You finally think there's a light at the end of the tunnel. He gets hurt. Like the curse of the Jets is just so real.
It is.
And so the expectation versus reality for the New York Jets, it's got to be just heartbreaking.
Yeah. And I take back what I said earlier. I'd rather be a Jets fan, probably, actually.
Than a Patriots.
Never mind.
Let's stand by it.
After Zach Wilson performed really well against the Chiefs, I had a lot of hope.
Dude, he had a moment.
And then I was like, I can't keep defending this guy.
Man.
But those are the worst NFL teams, and this is arguably the worst podcast you'll listen to this week.
But you love it.
But you can't get enough, baby.
You love it. We had some facts, though, in this episode.
Oh, that was some facts. Yeah.
I mean, where else have you heard that Tom Brady was the one who actually carried Bill Belichick?
Or that Brock Purdy's arguably the best quarterback in the last 30 years.
Or that if you're drafting a quarterback, you're literally putting the final nail in your team's coffin.
Yeah, and you're playing lottery. It's like you're playing the Powerball, essentially.
Or if you have an owner, or if you have David Tepper, you might as well have Jerry Jones.
Or if you follow our betting tips, you will be retiring early.
His words, not mine.
Peace.
Gamble responsibly. Peace.